Books presents an unabridged recording of Far North by Will Hobbs, narrated by Johnny Heller.
Chapter 1. The first I ever heard of the Nahanni River and Dead Men Valley was from the bush pilot who met my flight at Fort Nelson, way up at the top of British Columbia. Clint worked for an air charter service that was trading out a favor for my father by flying me on to Yellowknife, the capital of Canada's Northwest Territories. "Gabe Rogers?" he asked doubtfully as I stepped off the plane. "Clint?" I asked just as doubtfully. "You're the bush pilot?" This guy was about 22. That's the oldest I'd give him. Big grin, friendly as a puppy dog, big head of curly blonde hair, and a square jaw with a dimple in it. He said, "You talk just like your dad, Texas accent and all. I was expecting you to be tall like your dad too, eh?" "Nobody's as tall as my dad," I said. "That's why they call him Tree." A mischievous grin spread across the young bush pilot's face. "Anybody ever call you Stump?" I had to laugh. "Not until now, but there's a first time for everything. I've seen some big guys in those drilling rigs, but nothing like your dad, eh? Your shoulders sure remind me of his, wide as an axe handle. You wrestle?" "Wrestle and play football. I was a running back." "Hockey's my game. You ought to try it. Hey, guess what? Another pilot took off with my airplane. There's a forest fire going on north of here up in the Yukon." "So how do we get to Yellowknife?" "Well, the company's got a van stuck here at Fort Nelson, and now they figure I'm just the guy to drive it back to Yellowknife." "How far is that?" "Oh, only about 600 miles. We piled my gear into the van, an old Suburban armored with red dirt and a windshield that looked like it had been through a war. On a wide gravel road that stretched endlessly ahead through a forest of shaggy spruce trees, Clint buried the gas pedal, leaving behind a contrail of dust. It looked as if he intended to drive to Yellowknife in the same time it would have taken to fly there. I glanced nervously at the speedometer. He was already doing 115 kilometers per hour, whatever that was. It sure felt fast on the gravel, and I started to wonder if this guy was going to kill me. But I didn't say anything. I tried to relax, figuring that was just the way people drove in Canada. "This road didn't even exist 10 years ago," Clint said with pride. "The first thing you should know about the Northwest Territories is that it's big. It stretches from the Yukon practically to within spitting distance of Greenland. The NWT is twice as big as Alaska." In that case, I thought, Texans have absolutely no bragging rights in the North. "That's big," I agreed, as my eye went back to the speedometer. He was up to 125 kilometers per hour. "See if you can picture this. Only 60,000 people live in the entire NWT, and almost a third of them live in the city of Yellowknife." I was taking in the scale of one tiny corner of it in the green blur rushing by the passenger window, the big emptiness and the strangeness. For a kid from the Texas hill country, this world of the northern forest seemed like something you'd read about in a book and wonder if it could possibly be real. I felt good about my decision to come try it. It might be rugged up here, but I could already tell it wasn't going to be boring. Clint was steering left-handed down a long straightaway with only a couple of fingers on the wheel, while his right hand was fiddling with a yellow fishing jig and a tackle box between us. 140 kilometers per hour. That's what the speedometer was reading now. The van didn't feel very attached to the gravel. It felt more like we were floating. Back in Texas, my grandparents drove so slow it made me crazy. That wasn't a problem with Clint.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.